The three-day manhunt for a Hawaii cop killer ending overnight after the suspect was killed in a shootout with police. Officer Kalaloa's death marks the second officer killed in the line of duty this week alone. Massachusetts Sergeant Michael Chestnut killed earlier this week while responding to reports of a car crash. That brings the total number of officers shot nationwide in the last week to 8. Here to respond to this war on cops is our law enforcement panel. Joe Peters is a former police officer. Chief Rich Mosby is with the New Jersey State Association Chiefs of Police. Carol Orazem is a retired NYPD detective, and Vince Hill is a former Nashville cop and host of the podcast Beyond the Badge. Thank you all for your service in the line of duty, the thin blue line. This is tragic. I want to get right to the thing that has really startled me, and I know it startles you, and that is, at this very moment last year, the number of officers shot and killed in the line of duty was 21. The total number of officers killed in all shot and killed in the line of duty in all of 2017 was 35. Today, Officer Kalaloa marks 31. We are fast approaching last year's total, and it's not even August. Joe, I'll start with you. Your thoughts?
It's frightening. It's a sea change. When I raised my hand to be a local cop, much less a chief, or ending up at the White House, I never would have imagined, Griff, we'd be in a position where police officers have to feel like there's a bullseye on our back. As a former federal mafia prosecutor, it used to be that even the mafia didn't want to take on the police because of the ire and downside it brought to them. Today, it's just the opposite. Not only is there no respect, but officers are almost a trophy for gang members and others.
Chief Mosby, you're nodding your head when Joe's talking about the respect thing. What do you think of this war on cops, and how do we stop it?
Well, I had a meeting this week with some very senior officers, not leadership, but line officers who are specialists. And basically, the message that I left with that group was, I think that as a profession, even though we've been targeted and we've been victimized, I believe it's still incumbent upon the police as the problem solvers to turn the other cheek. We're doing everything that we can to get the truth out, and shows like this are helping us, and we appreciate that. I think that's the best thing that we can do, is to tell the public the truth, as we always have, to try to maintain the relationships based on trust, as we always have, and to try to be consistent in a time that it's very difficult to be that person.
Detective Orazem, I want to ask you, I remember covering tragically here when officers Wynn and Lou were killed here in New York. Do you feel like that our political discourse, there are other factors that are playing into making this war on cops worse, and how do we get past that?
It seems like there's just a giant war on our police officers now, like that we're a giant target. These officers are out there saving lives, protecting people, and they're being ambushed and they're being murdered for no other reason than the uniform that they're wearing, the color of their uniform. Doesn't matter who you are, what race, nationality. Cops are from all over, and it's all about the uniform. It's all about what you're wearing. And it's really sad, because as a police officer for 20 years, I never worried about myself. I was always out there trying to do what I could. I never really worried about my own safety.
Yep.
But now I have a son on the police department, and I worry about him every day.
Sure. And Officer Hill, I want to get you in here quickly. Like, you talk about this on your podcast, and that is the worry for families. You know, tell me, what are we going to see in the next part of this year, and how do we give some comfort to officers on the thin blue line?
Well, unfortunately, Griff, I think we're going to see more of the same. And the biggest issue that is going on right now is this false narrative given by mainstream media about police being the bad guy. I mean, they report falsely on things, saying that things only happen in certain communities, which is totally false. When you look at numbers, more whites were killed by police than blacks in 2017. Almost double, but that's not being reported. So when you only hear one side of what police are and what we do, then of course people are going to say, oh, police are the bad guy. So we have to start telling the truth about police officers.
That's exactly right, Officer Hill, Detective Orazem, Chief Mosby, and Joe, thank you. This is an important conversation. We're going to continue to have it because it matters. Thank you for your service. We'll bring you back. We'll talk more about this in a bit.